Welcome, everybody, to the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today, we are going to ask the question, why do psychopaths like horror movies?
Good title.
Present.
Jude is here, our resident horror fan. Welcome, Jude. How are you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun subject today. We're going to be talking about horror movies. Two of our co-hosts here have recently watched the newest Evil Dead movie, so we'll be talking about that. Spoiler alert, possibly, for that. We'll give us your review from Jude and Kadish for that movie, and also the Evil Dead franchise as a whole. We're going to probably talk a lot about that. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. The other person on the panel that doesn't like horror movies, Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Really looking forward to this one.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much prep did you do?
None.
None
None at all.
Same here. Cheers, buddy.
Zero prep.
Cheers to the zero prep
Because
team.
I hate horror movies.
I do too.
And I don't like to watch them.
I don't like them either. And the mastermind behind the show, Matt the Kitch. Welcome, sir.
I'm actually looking forward to this conversation because ever since we started this podcast, you guys have been very vocal in your opposition to horror movies. And we have reviewed horror movies on the Salty Nerd podcast before, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to ask the question, why do certain people like horror movies as opposed to the people who don't like them? And one of the friends of our channel, Cody Leach, he's a horror-focused YouTube channel. And it's kind of fun, like watching his stuff and being like, "Oh, we'd never cover that."
Yeah.
So I just wanted to have a conversation about like why is horror such a popular diehard genre? Because Nadia from the Up All Day podcast, friend of the show as well, we went to go see Evil Dead Rise with her, and she's a hardcore horror fan. She's almost as
I'm
hardcore
starting
as
to
Jude.
really like her. She texted me the other day, or actually at the meetup, she was like, "Hey, will you go see the new Insidious with me?" Because her husband's just out. He's like, go with somebody
Her
else.
husband's like Alex
So,
Invader. Like,
yeah.
he can't deal with horror
Once
movies.
she found out that I love horror movies, she's been texting me to go see him with her. And I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen like any of the Insidious movies past the first one. How many are there?" And she was like, "Oh, there's like 4 before, I think 4 before like the new one comes out." And I was like, "Well, I guess we need to have a marathon then." We were like, "Oh, we're having a Insidious marathon first weekend of June."
And it's interesting because Nadia, her background is in special horror effect makeup.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So like she actually worked on a couple movies doing like horror effect makeup and stuff like that. So she's a diehard horror fan, no pun intended. So I just thought like, hey, let's talk about why people like Nadia exist and people like Jude exist, and why people like Nadia's husband and you two exist.
Yeah, I've got very few movies that I don't even know if they would actually qualify as horror. They're more like thrillers that I enjoy. But once you get into like the supernatural realm, I'm kind of like,
You don't want that evil in your house, Ricky Bobby?
Honestly, that is the most accurate representation of my feelings. Like, don't bring that evil upon me. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that stuff. I think I've seen The Exorcist, the original one from the 70s, like one time. And I was like, I'm good. It's past. I'm like, I don't need to watch any more of those.
I have a fun story about The Exorcist.
I bet you do, you crazy, crazy person. But V, do you feel similarly to me? You're just like,
No, I don't feel similar to you. I don't give a shit about the religious
evil in your
overtones.
house?
No, I don't care about that stuff. I just haven't seen a lot of horror movies that I think are actually any good. I think that's part of I feel like most horror movies are very cheaply made, and they're a little over the top, and they're really extra super campy, and I just don't like those kind of movies.
You just said all the things I love.
Yeah,
I'm very much aware
the genre
of this, and that's why we are good at this because I don't enjoy that stuff. You know, I'm a diehard Halloween fan. I used to spend
like the stabby dude with the mask.
No, like the
holiday?
the holiday Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
Okay.
It's my favorite holiday of the year. You know, I used to decorate my house with skeletons and coffins and jack-o'-lanterns and all that kind of stuff. But that's different than horror movies. I've never been into horror movies. You know, part of it growing up in the weird culty world that I grew up in, kind of affected me a little bit as a kid growing up. I didn't watch The Exorcist till 2 years ago because, you know, I just couldn't get past that mental block. And I watched it and I thought it was fucking stupid. This is a stupid movie. It's you know, like my head's gonna spin around. I'm gonna barf all everything.
You mean it didn't shock you to see an 11-year-old swear and
It
suck my dick? I was like,
I thought it was dumb. I really thought it was dumb.
Yeah.
And I was really embarrassed that I hadn't watched it already.
you know what movie that is like super famous that I had never watched until we did it for the podcast was Carrie, the original one.
Yeah.
And this
So
movie
good.
in my head,
Not scary.
in my
Not
head,
scary
this
at
movie
all.
had been built up
Mhm.
for a long time with other movie fans. People like Jude are like, "Oh my god, that first Carrie movie is amazing," and I was
Still
like,
holds up.
I was going, I was going in, what like, oh man, this is gonna be a crazy ride. I can't wait. And I watched it and I was like, that was super boring.
Mhm.
And like the only scene that is like iconic about that is the blood at the prom scene, and that was like really underwhelming to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It just doesn't tickle my fancy. These,
They're all gonna laugh at you.
yeah. The
I-
creepiest part about that movie was the mom. The mom freaked me out.
I
definitely.
grew
Remember
up.
when I brushed out my hair and I looked just like her, and you guys were freaked out?
yeah.
I grew up in the era of I guess it was like 80s slasher
Mhm.
serial killer movies
Like
world.
Jason, and stuff
Jason
like
and
that, yeah.
Freddy and and all those guys, and it just those movies never did anything for me. The teen murder movies, it's like, oh, we're gonna go to camp, oh, there's some boobies, Ooh. And it's dead. And he's like, and let's just have 8 creative different kills and
Yeah.
have some weird guy in a mask or whatever. It's just like whatever. It's never appealed to me.
I need to ask
Never.
a question of the film snob in the room, because I want to know exactly what qualifies as horror versus
Yeah.
what qualifies as like thriller. Like Jaws is a thriller. It's got some blood and guts and
Mhm.
gore, and it's got like dead bodies floating around, and
Fun
it's a
movie.
scary movie,
I
but
like
it's
that
not
movie.
a horror movie.
So basically, horror has to do with excessive gore, supernatural, or some type of like unstoppable monster force that humans have to fight against. So if any of those 3 things are present in a movie, it could technically be called horror.
Okay.
Oh, so Independence Day is a horror movie?
No, that's a science fiction movie,
Oh,
but it has
Well,
horror
you
elements
said
to it.
Horror
Unstoppable
elements.
Alien Force.
See that these film snobs, they can't make up their mind. They're
I
like,
know.
well, technically, because one of my favorite movies that I feel like might fit in this category is The Descent.
Oh, I love The Descent.
I love that movie. It's a
Yeah.
really cool movie. I don't see it as like, I mean, maybe it's just the supernatural stuff that I don't like. But that movie is really cool. It's
Yeah.
very thrilling. It's like, it's creepy. It's claustrophobic.
Cave
It's- Yeah,
monsters.
cave monsters. Same with, there's a movie that came out within the last couple of years. It was a French, they were in France and they went down to the catacombs. As Above, So Below, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that's good. I haven't seen
It's
that
a good
one.
movie. Yeah, I like that movie
Then
too.
they have the one in Chernobyl. I forget which one that was.
I think it's just called Chernobyl.
No. It was. I think it might have been As Above, So Below.
Like 2, like they made a sequel and it was in Chernobyl.
I don't know. I just remember that there was this horror movie where like they're going like.
They're like a tourist group, and
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh, we're being."
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and
Okay.
they're like-
I don't know what that movie's called, but I think I might have
it's
seen
called
part of it.
Chernobyl.
It might be. The TV show on HBO Max is amazing. The Chernobyl show.
It's totally different.
The miniseries, not a horror movie, but
Yeah.
it's pretty freaking scary though.
Yeah.
And then the other movie that I can think of that it might have turned me off because it crossed a couple of lines to me. I watched one time. I was like, I don't know, I was on a dare or I just was like feeling frisky or something. But I watched The Human Centipede, and
I've never watched
And
that.
I'm like,
I refuse to watch it.
I watched that movie in its entirety, and I sat through it, and I was just like, why? Why did I do this to myself?
I
It was
feel
so
like you have done
more.
things to yourself that have turned you off of horror, and now you're just like, horror is not for
Not
me.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah,
like-
I've gone too far. What's up?
I'm going through this list, right? I just typed in random list, top 25 horror movies that
Okay.
came up.
Okay.
And I'm going through these, and like number 25 on this list is Scream.
I love Scream.
Fucking hate Scream. It's stupid. It's
See,
just, it's-
okay.
it's-
Is that the Drew Barrymore one where she's like hanging from the tree?
That intro is one
Yeah.
of the best intros to a horror movie in at least.
the telephone thing?
Yes.
She's like, I'm inside your house. Like that thing? That-
Like the intro to that, if it hadn't already like since then, it's been done 1,000 times.
Right,
But
yeah,
that was
yeah.
the first time it had been done.
Okay.
And her performance in that was so good. It had you on the edge of your seat for the rest of the movie.
Yep.
The rest of the movie is not as good as that intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then there's-
Directed by legendary Wes Craven,
Right.
Yeah.
no less from Nightmare on Elm Street.
The number 21 movie on this list is one I actually really do like, 28 Days Later. But
Ooh.
I have a soft spot for zombie movies.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
yeah.
reason. Zombies and vampires, that's my jam.
Yeah.
Do those count as horror
I
movies?
don't know. No, 28 Days Later, I would classify as probably.
See, I
I don't know if I would call it a horror movie though. It's
Yeah.
more of a thriller
It's
zombie
thriller,
with
yeah.
like I mean, it's definitely got its suspenseful moments, but
I put like zombie movies in their own classification.
Yeah, yeah.
Like maybe under the umbrella,
like
a large umbrella of horror. Yeah, the umbrella corporation. The large umbrella of horror categories, and then on the subgenre, there's like zombie movies. Like I'm okay with that. Zombie movies are cool. Then you got the human dismemberment, like the human centipede stuff. I'm not into.
Yeah, but this list is just all over the place. It's like
there's so many different subcategories of horror.
The Fly. We watched that.
I fucking love The Fly. Which one?
The one with the
new one, Jeff Goldblum one.
Yeah,
Goldblum
that's under the body horror subset.
Yeah,
and then it's American Werewolf in London, which
that's a great movie.
I like that movie. That's a good movie.
I don't consider that a horror movie.
Just talking about all the things I love. I'm having a great time.
At this point, I just want to. Is Underworld a horror movie?
Yes.
Are you serious? With Kate Beckinsale?
That's a horror movie?
It's got vampires and werewolves.
It's a gothic horror film.
That's a gothic spank bank is what that is.
I had a dream the other night that Kadish joined a werewolf clan.
That sounds about right.
And he hadn't changed yet, but he was about to. And like his clan people were like, so are you going to support your man? Are you going to become a werewolf too? And I was like, it's not a creature I've ever wanted to be.
So did you become a vampire and go to mortal enemies?
I was like, do you guys know any vampires?
That's a weird dream.
I keep on going down. And it's like, there is one movie that I did watch that it always freaked me out when I was younger. It's Poltergeist, 1982.
I've never seen it.
I grew up on
that
Poltergeist.
movie.
Never seen
I was Carol Ann's age when I first saw Poltergeist.
They're here.
Yeah.
That was a freaky ass movie, and it was I would actually kind of want to watch that. Maybe we'll watch that in October, maybe.
Okay.
But
I've never seen it.
But
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a Steven Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah.
Well,
but
it's a low key Steven Spielberg movie.
Okay. Well, he
doesn't-
There's
he
a story behind it.
Oh, okay.
It's like
all right. A wink and a nod. It's kind of like the Goonies, where like everybody's like, "Oh, it's a Steven Spielberg movie."
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
the next one is The Thing. We all love
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
right?
the greatest horror movie
That's
ever made.
I see. I don't.
But that's only number 13 on this list. That I'm looking at.
Aliens. I fucking hate
But,
it.
yeah, I don't know.
It's Aliens. That's a perfect example.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
Aliens a horror?
The first one is a horror movie.
The first one I would definitely say is a horror movie.
That's a horror movie.
But what about
Second one's
the
an
second
action
one?
sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It's with horror elements.
So I
guess.
think
It works though.
Yeah.
where we're going to debate here is what exactly makes a horror movie.
I guess
a horror movie
Yeah.
I
because
think
there's a
you
lot
like
of stuff.
horror movies and
that-
you didn't know.
I think I like action movies that have
horror elements.
horror elements.
Yeah, because
Because like Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
I don't give a shit about that movie.
hate that movie.
Yeah.
I do not like
Freaks you out in a bad way, or you just don't like
I
it?
just the sheer terror of somebody being dismembered alive by a chainsaw
Do they show it?
is
yeah.
terrifying.
I
It's
wanna
just
watch that.
Well, they
and
show
that's
'em,
and that's
put
what
'em on a
that's
hook,
what I
too.
don't like. That's what I
Yeah.
don't like in horror movies.
The mutilation
I
stuff.
don't like mutilation and death porn. I hate it.
Yeah.
And
I hate the Saw movies.
I think that's where I draw. I don't want to see somebody get mutilated and cut in half.
So
And stuff like that, unless it's like in a Game of Thrones, somebody gets his head chopped off. That doesn't bother
But that's
me
quick
for some
though.
reason.
It's like it's quick and it's done.
But
it's not like
watching Leatherface dismantle somebody with
Yeah.
a chainsaw when they're hanging on a meat hook or something, no. That's where I draw my line, and I don't know why I feel that way, but that's where it is. That's where I think I don't like excessive.
you don't get a
body-
thrill from that.
I don't like excessive body gore. I don't like gross, like
because
I don't like seeing people throw up.
what I think
You know what I mean? Just weird, gross shit like that. I just can't handle it.
Psycho's
no
like
split pea soup for you.
No, fuck you. That
oh,
movie
bad
sucked.
taste was too
That's
gross.
a
No,
terrible
I was
movie.
talking about The Exorcist.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
but
same
that
thing.
was just almost humorous to me. The Exorcist was I had dared myself to watch it, and then I was embarrassed after I was done watching it that I'd never seen it before because it was so stupid and poorly made.
I remember, so like in 2019 when we first started the podcast, one of your things was like, you know what? It was around October. Vader was like, you know what? I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. I'm going to try watching some of these movies that for years I was too scared to watch. I remember like the next episode when he showed up, he was like, man, The Exorcist was dumb. I can't believe I was too scared to watch that movie.
So
And the weird thing about horror movies is like, that's the secret, is that no horror movie is ever so scary that you can't watch it.
right.
You know, especially like, and you know, Vader kind of criticizes the low budget nature of some horror movies.
I don't like
but
low-budget
in
movies.
a certain way, like when the gore is done badly, it makes it easier to watch.
Like
That's-
Evil Dead.
That's a great thing to say because when I made you guys watch Bone Tomahawk,
Oh,
the
God,
one
I'm
thing,
still traumatized.
the one
from
thing
that.
you all said about that was that scene was way too realistic.
real.
Too real.
Yeah. Get outta here with that.
They freaking hand that dude in half.
I would argue that Bone Tomahawk is a horror movie. It's not.
Oh
a
yeah,
Western.
it's definitely it's a horror western
It's-
for sure.
Yeah.
a Western for most of it. And then for one scene, it's a horror movie. And that everybody just remembers that one
No,
scene.
No, it had body horror. The Indians were basically monsters.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And it had graphic gore.
Uh,
Like it was
Yeah.
it was a straight up horror movie.
I would like to know. And then this is just for the people who watch this movie or watch this video. What is your definition of your personal definition of
Comment
a horror
below,
movie?
yeah.
Comment below. Tell us what your definition of a horror movie is, because I think it's such a broad term.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't look at Alien and put it in the same movie category as
Like Evil Dead or
as
something.
Friday the 13th Part 2.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
Completely different kinds
Yep.
of movies.
It feels like they're two different genres,
Right.
right? But they're
The-
still technically under.
the horror movie.
It's too
umbrella
broad. You think it's too broad?
It's too big.
Yeah.
It's too big because it's just.
Maybe.
I can't sit here and say I don't like horror movies because clearly I do. But there's a subgenre in there that I am not watching that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's the body mutilation, murder porn stuff.
Yeah.
I do not like that stuff.
Yeah.
But other stuff.
Do you
I'm fine
consider
with.
slasher films murder porn?
Like Jason movies?
Yeah,
Freddy movies?
Jason
No.
or Freddy,
Those-
Scream.
Those are teen.
That's a genre I do not give a shit
I don't
about.
really like that. I think it's a dumb genre, but I know
Yeah.
people love those. People, I mean, I've
have a
seen,
cult-
I've
they
seen
have a
all
cult
of
of
them. I've seen all
personality.
the Friday the 13th movies and all the Freddy movies,
I've never seen
and they're all dumb. They're all
Well,
They're
stupid.
great in the 80s.
Yeah, well, you know,
No, Lost Boys is technically a horror movie.
Yeah. Vampires.
I was never
Sex
scared.
and
I
Sax
hate 'em.
Man.
Dude, 30
Sexy
Days of
Sax
Night.
Man.
30 Days
You know,
of Night.
I've not seen that.
I like that
Oh,
movie.
that's a
I didn't
cool
see it.
ass
Yeah,
movie.
I read the book too.
Did you? This is a book?
It's a graphic
What
novel.
about Let the Last
right
one
one in?
Right one in? Yeah, that's a good. I don't know if that's horror or not. That's more thriller.
No,
it's
that's-
just
that's
Is it horror?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that one
It's
too.
like a dramatic horror.
it's like Blair Witch is on this list, and that's
What number is Blair Witch?
23.
Huh.
Top-
I mean, this is
almost top
listen,
20.
Does not hold
this
up.
is a random IGN.com
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
There's a lot of good movies on here, but man, it's so broad. The definition is so out
So
there.
to bring it back
I
to
mean,
evil,
Jaws is on this list with Bride of Frankenstein.
Well, I have
Sure.
a similar history with The Exorcist that Vader did. Like, as a little girl, this is probably one of my first memories. Is like a core memory for me. I was probably 3, and I was being babysat. My older sister was beside me. I was sitting in my babysitter's lap, and I remember this vividly. And my sister was turning the channel on. This is back when you had to do it by hand on the TV. And she flipped past HBO was showing the Exorcist.
Okay.
And it just was like 2 seconds of like her eyes rolling back in her head, her being like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I somehow in that 2 seconds screamed, jumped up, flipped around, and wrapped both arms and legs around my babysitter. And I was crying for like the rest of the night. That's my memory of The Exorcist. And I was I'm a person who grew up on horror movies.
yeah.
My mom tells the story today, like, as a baby, they would be watching Jaws, and I would be like, "Get him, Jaws, get him!" I was rooting for the shark.
Yeah.
I love horror movies, and I was too afraid to watch The Exorcist until I was in my 20s, and finally I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch The Exorcist. I'm gonna do it, you guys." And I rented it, and I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, solid flick."
Yeah.
there is a
The fear of it was more than the it of it.
And what's funny about Jude is like she loves shark movies, and so
I
like
do.
shark movies kind of like fall under the horror category because the shark is the
So
monster.
scary.
And there'll be times where she's rewatching like 50 meters below or something like that.
47 meters deep.
47 meters deep.
That movie's terrifying.
And like
I'll be a ghost over a shark any day.
I'll be upstairs and I'll just hear her screaming and she'll be like, "What the fuck?"
That's me every time.
I don't know if you guys know this about me, but there's two things that I'm deathly afraid of.
The ocean.
Number one is heights.
Oh, really?
All right, I still haven't been on top of the stratosphere. We've lived here 12, almost 13 years. Okay, how stupid is that?
I've done all those rides.
Yeah. You will never get me. I might go up on the top and look over and shit myself, but
restaurant is
I'm
nice.
never getting on a ride. That's
Okay.
not happening. And the other one is deep water. I cannot do deep black, dark green.
I know
pitch
you, boo.
black water. I
When-
can't,
dude.
It's like I remember when I was a kid, right? And we'd go fishing with my dad. There's some lakes up in Oregon called Paulina Lakes. They're volcanoes with lakes. In the
Oh,
culvert.
yeah, the big culvert. Okay,
And they're like 900 feet deep or
Yeah,
some
yeah.
shit like that. So I'm out here on this boat with my dad, and I can't,
You look down, it's just black.
It's just black.
Yeah. I
And
gotcha.
I'm deathly
Dude,
afraid that some Cthulhu beast is going to come up from the depths of a
Swallow
volcano and kill us. It's the worst feeling. And you're never going to catch me on a cruise ship. I'm gonna fly over the ocean because
I've never been on a cruise.
It's just I'm terrified. My wife wants to go to Hawaii. I'm terrified because I'm going to be in a plane flying over the fucking ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Dude.
that's my two worst fears.
You wanna hear something funny?
Combined together.
Heights and
it's
deep
just-
water.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think I'm due. I
Just
think,
walk.
So,
I think I'm landlocked forever.
Maybe. One of the funny things, I'll just say this real quick. When we're staying at Loch Ness when we go to Scotland this year, and like
be awesome.
Ashley dared me to get in the water. I'm like, I'm getting in the freaking water.
Yeah,
I'm 100% getting in that water for sure. But to bring the conversation back to Evil Dead, I just want to give a quick thought on the only Evil Dead movie that I can remember watching the entire thing of. I've seen a couple of Bruce Campbell ones, and I gotta say, when you say Evil Dead, the last thing on my mind is the Bruce Campbell movies. Those are like they feel like a different thing. Like than the Evil Dead movie, I watched like the remake from 2011 or something.
You are exactly correct, sir.
Yeah, I'm like,
2013.
these are not the same. I watched that movie thinking, oh, this is like Bruce Campbell's going to show up one time and say something snarky. No, it was just a straight up like gore fest, possession movie, and I did not like it. I watched the whole thing. I sat through it. And I'm like, it's a fine movie. Like technically, it's fine. Like the graphics are great. The gore is there. The cinematic is everything's fine. But I just didn't give a shit. I was just like, this movie's so dumb.
Right.
And like, I have to nail my hand to the wall. Ah! And I'm just like, oh my God, can we just get this over with, please? I didn't care about that movie. Now, I have seen parts of the Bruce Campbell films, and those are more like comedic horror.
You've never seen like an actual Evil Dead movie like the whole way through?
No, not that I can remember. I know
Wow.
there's a book with a
That's
face
so
on it. I
fun.
bet. Yeah, I'm sure they are. But that's my only take on Evil Dead. So you guys watched all of them and the newest one that just came out.
Yeah.
So take it away. The show's yours. Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag. And we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
So Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness are some of my all-time favorite movies.
Absolutely.
I love those movies.
It's just pillow talk, baby.
It's just pillow talk, baby. I'll be a Chinese jet pilot.
Should we leave the room?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
First you want to kill me, then you want to kiss me.
Blow.
Blow.
Let's go get some drinks.
Yeah, let's go.
It's just
The
gonna
rest
be
of
us
this
quoting
show
the
is
movie.
it's just gonna be lines.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Dead by
It's-
done. Dead by done.
It's quarter till the top of the hour. You got till 12.
All right. Just
Okay.
before you guys leave, I just want to say I'll swallow your soul.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about horror movies is that a lot of big filmmakers got their start in horror, like Peter Jackson, Sam Raimi, stuff like that. And the reason that happens is because horror movies are very cheap to produce initially. And the original Evil Dead, starring Bruce Campbell, was a tour de force of like independent filmmaking. It was a movie that I watched over and over again growing up because I wanted to be a filmmaker. And they had a lot of ingenuity with that movie, like for the evil cam, they just basically duct taped a film camera onto a 2x4 and had two guys like running through the woods with it, and it worked great. And like the horror, like it's not a scary movie, but it's very gory. And at a certain point, it gets so gory that it's ridiculous, and that's when it becomes fun. And with Evil Dead 2, they took a much campier like kind of take with the movie. So
It was basically a remake.
well, the first 10 minutes of the movie is a remake of the first movie. But then the rest of it is something completely new. But it's like they knew that like the special effects weren't going to be good. And so they were just like, you know what, we're just going to have fun with it. And the Evil
And
Dead...
they give Bruce Campbell so much more to do in the second
Yeah,
one.
and I think a lot of people don't acknowledge like how important of a movie Evil Dead 2 was to like the horror genre. Like it's such an iconic film that it influenced like a bunch of other like horror movies. And then with Army of Darkness, they went full camp. Like there's like no horror in that movie at all, but it's so much fun. And it's one of the most quotable movies ever.
Yeah.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my boomstick.
See, even us plebs know that movie.
That's not I've watched that movie dozens of times.
Have you? I've only seen parts of it.
it's not
Those
a
are
horror
probably the
movie.
parts.
Like
Do you
you said.
know? Do you know like the premise of Army of Darkness?
No idea. I know there's a
Okay.
chainsaw involved, and he replaces his hand, and he fights a book with a face on it or something. Like, yeah,
it's a
there's
direct
At the
sequel.
end, yeah, it's a direct sequel. At the end of Evil Dead 2,
okay.
they have to recite this incantation to get this portal to open up to suck the evil in. And Ash falls into the portal too, and they both end up in this
Like the evil realm.
ancient land.
Oh,
No, they go back in time
Yeah.
to like medieval times where like the evil first appeared.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he has to be in like an old timey time
Mm-hmm.
fighting evil. And all he has is like the clothes on his back and his shotgun.
His boomstick.
Yeah.
Klaatu, Verata.
Nikto.
And he ends up
I said the words.
he ends up building like a robot arm and stuff like that. Like it's so ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And it's like Bruce Campbell at his best.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sam Raimi at his like most like I don't give a fuck phase. Like the entire reason he made that movie was just to torture Bruce, you know. But like there's so many great lines in that film. And then like when they were like remaking it, like they made Evil Dead like a true like horror movie. Like we watched
At least they said it in a cabin.
yeah, like we watched the remake the other night, and I had avoided watching that for like the longest time because I'm such a hardcore original Evil Dead
And
purist.
you're a huge fan of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, like Bruce is my boy.
I was super disappointed when I watched that movie and I never saw Bruce Campbell. I was like, "The fuck,
Well,
man?"
they had one of the guys, like he wasn't named Ash or Ashley, but like he had like the blue shirt on. He was like the guy who was like, you know, in charge of everything until they replaced him with the girl. And the whole movie, I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, this is too serious for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're an Evil Dead movie, you need to have an element of camp to it. And Evil Dead Rise tried to add in like nods to like the campy like Evil Dead 2. and
Set in a
stuff like
high
that.
rise.
Is that the new one you guys just watched, Evil Dead Rise? Okay.
Yeah, it just came out. It's one of the most successful horror movies. Like basically they're going to keep making Evil Dead movies because of this
and
one.
Bruce Campbell kind of makes a cameo in it.
Wait, it's super successful. I didn't even know it was out. How is it super successful? Nobody's talking about it.
Well, like, you know, the budget, they made it for like next to nothing, and it's grossed over like $120 million at the box office.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Well,
And like, if you're a horror fan, this is not the time that horror movies come out. Like every horror fan is
Comes in
like,
October.
"Oh, great! I'm going to go watch that because I
Mhm.
don't have anything else to go see at the theater right now."
okay.
Yeah, but Evil Dead Rise, so basically they take the possession aspect of Evil Dead and they put it in a different location. So instead of a cabin in the woods, it's now a like industrial high rise in
It's like
the
set
city.
to be demolished.
Yeah, it used to be a bank and like it got converted into apartments and now it's like condemned and it's set to be demolished. And the story follows this family where it's like mother, 3 kids, and the mother's sister comes to visit.
Spoilers. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a brand new movie. So spoiler
Spoilers.
alert.
But it does open with some teens in a cabin as just kind of like a nod.
Oh yeah.
And
It eventually ends up at a cabin.
yeah, so like
That opening was great.
yeah, I was gonna say the opening of the movie was very scary.
Mhm.
And then like we get to the meat of the movie, which is just like one night in this high rise where basically the mother gets possessed by the evil
Mhm.
and the kids and the sister have to fight her off and stuff like that. And I was watching like the entire time I was watching, I'm like, this isn't Evil Dead. I was
Yeah.
kind of in Alex's camp.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sounds like a shitty remake.
Well,
Yeah.
like they take the premise of Evil Dead, but they try to make it like a serious like horror thing when like the whole magic behind what made Evil Dead special was the campiness. Like if you watch the Starz series about Ash versus the Evil Dead, where Bruce Campbell's back and they go like just as campy as they did in the movies, like that series is amazing. I love that.
And he's
series.
just been keeping the Necronomicon in his trailer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just like, like underneath the seat or something like that. But like when they try to make it, when they try to make the Evil Dead a serious horror movie, it just doesn't work for me. Like it doesn't feel like the Evil Dead. It feels like it feels like a bad horror movie that's trying to trade off the brand of the Evil Dead.
And they're trying to like backtrack the history, like, oh, there were 3 books, and you're like, were there though?
Oh, so yeah, this
is one of the 3 that this child has found.
this
did he, though?
sounds like they're just taking the name Evil Dead and just slapping it on a new show.
My official review is it is a solid, gory horror movie.
Right.
It is not an Evil Dead movie.
Okay.
I would say that it is a horror movie set in the Evil Dead universe.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say that go that far
Because of the book and because of the callbacks.
It's almost like with Star Trek, how they have these different timelines. It's almost like the Kelvin timeline of the Evil Dead.
Sure.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's successful because it was cheaply made and it made 120,000 or 120 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so 120 million is not really that much money, but if
How
your
much?
if your budget's,
What was the budget?
I don't know, what was the budget?
I don't know. I think it was in between 10 and 20.
Oh
maybe.
my, that's super cheap.
I mean,
Yeah.
you make 4 or 5 times your budget.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
good,
look
that's
it up right
successful,
now.
but that doesn't necessarily mean a bunch of people want to go see it. That just means that you made a super cheap movie and you could easily make a profit. Because the only thing
that's another big thing about horror movies
Yeah.
is that they're cheap to produce, and like for instance, New Line Cinema was built off of the Friday the 13th movies, because they were so successful. Not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. They were so successful that basically like New Line became a powerhouse in the industry, and eventually went on to make Lord of the Rings and stuff like that with a horror movie director,
was Peter Jackson.
It says the budget was between 15 and 19 million.
Okay,
So under 20 million.
so they made
5 times.
Yeah, $100 million profit at the least.
And that's the definition of successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's Stinky Anderson's whole big gag.
Stanky Henderson. But basically, like we can expect like a sequel to Evil Dead Rise now.
But are you guys, as Evil Dead fans, even going to care about that? Because it's not necessarily
I'll
what
watch
you
it on
want.
the couch.
Like Jude will watch it, but like I don't like either like the Evil Dead remake or Evil Dead Rise because they're not really Evil Dead movies,
Right,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
If they named it something else, would you go see it?
Probably not.
Okay. So this is
I mean, I'm going to watch it either way.
you're not selling me on this movie right now.
You're gonna watch it when it comes out on streaming.
Yeah.
Basically, is what you're telling me. So
Well, so for instance, like there's this other horror movie out there that Jude forced me to watch.
Oh, which one?
I'm gonna get to it. This movie was the most ridiculous horror movie I think I'd ever seen, and I'm convinced that the filmmaker was actively trolling the audience by making this movie, and it was a little ditty called "Malignant."
I love that.
Oh, is that the movie that we watched at Tom's house?
yes.
Fuck that movie. That movie was so stupid.
but I didn't go.
Oh, it was one of the classic Jude and Tom bad movie night things.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't invited.
I mean, that's a thing, guys. If you don't know,
We're working. Settle down.
fuck you guys. I wasn't even invited.
one of these days you won't be working at night, and we'll have you over.
One of
and
these
you'll,
days,
and
you're
you'll
still not going to be invited.
and you'll
not
regret
gonna,
it.
Not going to be invited.
anymore. You'll regret it anyway. So, like, I think I left early.
Yeah, but
It's, like so
Yeah.
stupid.
the premise behind this Malignant movie is that there's this woman who's being terrorized by this, like weird,
Entity.
weird entity.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the entity is actually her, and she has like
It's her parasitic twin.
yeah,
Yeah.
she has a parasitic twin, so she has a face like behind her head that pops out when this entity takes
And when
over.
it takes over, it makes her walk backwards.
Yeah. Like her entire body is backwards.
Yeah.
And there's scenes in here where like she just goes ham and starts killing a bunch of people, and it's so comical.
Yeah.
Because she's doing it like backwards. It's so bad, but like
Imagine, like, instead of going like hacking at somebody, you're hacking at somebody. Like this. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen, dude.
It's so much fun.
yeah, but like that's the type of horror movie that like you can watch and you can appreciate it because it's dumb.
See, I see you doing this, and that is correct.
That's
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Wow. It's so stupid.
It's so dumb.
That's
It's
so
good.
stupid. I love it.
But what's weird?
I need that in a shirt.
Yeah. What's weird about *Malignant* is that it takes itself very seriously, which makes its ridiculous aspects so much more interesting. The Evil Dead remake and Evil Dead Rise take themselves very seriously, but the difference is that in Evil Dead Rise they make lots of references to the goofy aspects of Evil Dead 2, to the point where I was like, okay, this fan service is going a bit too far.
Plus,
It's like,
they kill a bunch of kids in the new one.
You'd actually love it. Yeah,
Tell me more.
Alex is like, they kill children, you say.
What's wrong with you?
How can I get in on that?
Remember that shitty ass movie that we watched with this Dino Croc or whatever, where they chomped the kid?
Oh, they're not
like-
going to kill the kid.
They're
Oh,
like,
shit, they just
killed
killed the kid.
I'm like, any filmmaker that has the balls to kill children in their movie, I respect that.
Alex chips his hat.
Good job, sir.
You killed a child. Slow clap.
It's such a brutal thing that people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that in my movie. And some directors are like, yeah, we fucked them kids.
I think I'm starting to understand why I'm saying I don't like horror movies.
Tell me.
I almost I'm starting to figure out that it's more of a recent thing because we have watched a lot of really stupid horror movies
Right.
on this show. We watched a movie about a killer pair of jeans.
Oh, slacks.
It was terrible.
Didn't you guys watch Thanksgiving
We
too?
watched a movie about a couch that ate people.
Killer sofa.
Stupid.
And the one with the weave?
And a killer wig. I mean, these are the shit. This is the stuff that's imprinted
I feel
in my
like
brain.
I am the gatekeeper for what we review on the show. And when I leave to go camping or go do something with my family
We
or
just
whatever,
go wild.
these guys go nuts. And Vader's left here to just go, God damn it.
Have I made you guys watch the Killer Donuts
And you're
one
not
yet?
going to. I'm done with these stupid movies. It's like
They die of diabetes or what?
Well, they've been talking.
No,
I've
the
been,
donuts.
Jesus.
The donuts are the monsters.
Yeah.
I've been looking at stuff right now, and I completely forgot that there's the Pope's Exorcist out there right now.
Yeah,
Want
Russell Crowe.
my wife isn't going to go see that with me.
I'll go.
So I need to go on a date night with Jude.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
need to go watch.
I'm
this
not gonna
movie.
watch that.
Well, we went to go see the new Resident Evil umbrella, like whatever,
Yeah.
together. We were the only ones in the theater.
Yeah, and this guy over here is like, nobody better talk in a movie. But we're the only people in there.
The worst.
And he goes, hey, Cadence, I'm going to go pee. in the middle of the movie. We're like,
I'm the worst. I was
Oh,
when we had our
man.
little thing last week. I was sitting between Nadia and Joker. I had him say me that seat right there. I'll be up there in a second. All right. So I go up there and I'm talking.
and you
I-
trolled that poor guy that
Oh, I
was
did.
sitting there.
and poor Joker and Nadia. Because I'm sitting.
Oh, you were talking through the whole thing?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Oh,
So
I
then
hate sitting next to movies.
I realized what I was doing, and I just stood up and said, I probably won't be back. And I left. And I went out and talked to you guys.
I thought you were
Chris
talking about
Gore.
the meetup at the bar the other night.
No, I was talking about our screening we had.
Mm,
But yeah, horror movies. I think I just don't like dumb horror movies.
possibly.
I don't like dumb horror movies, and I don't
know-
like body.
Well, what would
horror
you
movies.
consider good horror movies?
Alien.
Alien.
It takes itself very seriously. Has a very serious premise.
Yeah,
But there's not a lot of mutilation except for that one scene.
right. You know,
The chest burster.
American Werewolf in London.
Great movie.
Great
Right.
horror movie.
Do you like the original, like Bruce Campbell Evil Deads, or no?
I've never
Okay.
liked. I've never
Too
liked
goofy
Evil
for
Dead
you.
movies. No.
I will say I'm finding out as we're discussing this. I'm thinking about like scary movies that I actually like. And I have a thing for caves. I love The Descent.
Yeah, caves freak me out.
I love on YouTube, and it's not a horror movie technically, but it's like a YouTube channel where this guy goes cave, like old mines and stuff like that. He explores old mining shafts, and there's this it's one video. It's super famous, but he goes into this old mine, and there's chains hanging all over the place, and it's dead still in there. I mean, you're talking hundreds of feet inside the ground. Like there's no air, there's no nothing. It's very still. And you see there's just one chain just swinging in the very, very back deepest part of the cave, and he's just swinging. He's like, what? There's no wind. What the heck's going on? Goes a little bit deeper, and then you start hearing things. You hear like whispers, and like more of the chains start moving, and you're just like, wow, my God. He starts running out. And this is all like candid footage, like almost like Blair Witch style. and I'm like, I think that place is real. I was like, it's freaky as hell, but I love that like claustrophobic feeling. As above, so below. Claustrophobic movie. I have a thing for those like you can't get out kind of things.
I mean, I guess I'm really starting to change my mind about how I shouldn't say I don't like horror movies because I clearly do. Like there was a movie we watched on this show a year, maybe 2 years ago. I can't believe we can say a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it was a German movie about the vampire lady on the plane.
That was good.
That was really good.
Oh yeah.
But I can't
Blood
remember.
Red Sky.
Yeah.
Is that a horror movie?
Oh,
I guess
it's
so,
definitely
yeah.
a vampire.
Yeah.
So, but it was a vampire movie. But man, it was
Freaky.
kind of
Remember that
freaky.
scene where the dude was changing while he was trying to break into the car and she's like inside with her kid? Yeah.
So I'm just this conversation is making me rethink things. It's like I guess I don't like movies about stupid inanimate objects.
You don't like
that kill
campy
things.
horror.
I don't like campy horror. I guess me and Jude are gonna fight because I don't like
I love it when we fight.
stupid campy horror movies.
Yeah.
I don't.
Jude's
I don't
back.
like. And it's totally her thing.
Yeah.
And I just.
I want to point out that my favorite type of horror movie is a horror movie that's kind of encased in a mystery, because I get really intrigued with the mystery aspect. Like for instance, when I first saw Scream, the whole premise of Scream is that
The whole whodunit.
it's basically an Agatha Christie mystery wrapped up in a slasher film. So like it's like, who is the Ghostface killer?
Yeah.
Then you have like stuff like The Ring, and more recently we watched a really good movie called Smile, which was like
was that good?
Yeah.
It was good.
It was really good, and part of that is basically like she's investigating this demon that like possesses people, and so like when there's a mystery aspect to a horror movie, I get really into it. Like I get super intrigued.
You can't pass up a mystery.
Yeah, it's
Well, a lot of people can't, but like it adds an element to a horror movie, because the whole aspect of horror is the unknown, right? Like you don't know what's out there or what's haunting you or what's trying to kill you. And so like that's what makes it scary.
And that's the same thing with the first Friday the 13th movie. You don't know who the killer is.
Yeah, and in fact, like in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, there's a mystery aspect to Freddy and his powers and how to defeat him and stuff like that. So when you have a mystery, which is basically the uncovering the unknown, you want to solve it. And so like the idea that you can solve it in a way makes it more intriguing. Like you're allowing yourself to go along this scary ride because you want to find the answer to this mystery.
Let me ask this really quick question. A lot of these horror movies, they turn into series, right?
Oh yeah, they keep making
Would you say that the first movie in the series is always the best one? Is the first Jason movie the best Jason movie?
That's true for most movies
Nightmare
in
on Elm
general.
Street the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
For me, I think it's the most rewatchable because it's the origin story. Is it the funnest? Because they get real fucking fun. And then they get really fucking bad.
The thing about Friday the 13th is that basically Jason's not in the first movie. Like he makes a quick appearance at the end, but it's not the Jason we know and love. It's not until the third Friday the 13th that it kind of finds its stride, right? Yeah. So like up until like I would say that not always is the first movie the best.
Scream 1 the best Scream movie?
I think it is personally.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's Jude made a good point. I think it's true. Basically, every movie ever, the original is always the best one. The sequels always kind of tend to go a little bit too far.
The sequels are always just like a grab for money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Evil Dead 2 is the superior film to
possibly.
agree.
It might be an exception.
I
Might be an
agree.
exception.
I think the cast is better in the first one, but Bruce Campbell is better in the second one.
But there's also stuff like, for instance, the Terrifier movie. So the first Terrifier apparently like was just okay, and then Terrifier 2 comes out and it like breaks all records. They made it for like $100,000. It made like millions and millions of dollars.
That first one is graphic.
You know, there's stuff out there like the Pinhead movies.
Never seen any of them.
You know what?
Hellraiser?
Hellraiser is the first one, the best one there. You know, Jigsaw,
Jeepers Creepers? You guys
the
watch
Jigsaw
Jeepers
movies.
Creepers?
I think the Hellraiser movies are fucking weird.
Yeah, they're weird as hell.
They're weird.
I actually like Jeepers Creepers 2 better than
The one with
original.
Jason Long, right?
Yeah, well, the first one was with Jason Long.
Oh, okay.
But the second one, it's all these teens on a bus, and they're being like hunted by the Jeeper Creeper guy.
You know, I think another thing that I have a problem with here is I feel like modern horror movies haven't been that scary. They've gone down this weird PG-13 horror movie route. Then they're just not. They don't cut it.
Maybe.
Well, I think it's scarier when you don't
like
know or you
The
don't
Ring,
see.
The Ring is not scary.
I've never seen it. I don't know.
It's almost
I don't.
it's dumb. I remember watching that movie with my daughter, and and they were freaking out because the chick was crawling out of the TV, which was kind of a cool effect at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie itself was as a whole did nothing for me. They did
It's another weird one.
They
that
did a
doesn't really
remake
hold
of
up.
they did a remake of
The Grudge. What about The Grudge?
what was the
I
movie?
liked The Grudge.
Did you?
I think.
Okay.
I've only seen it when it came out, though.
Yeah. Keep going.
Well,
V.
they did a remake of a classic horror movie. I think Ryan Reynolds was in it with the house.
Ryan.
Amityville Horror.
Amityville Horror.
That movie sucks. The
original?
No, the remake.
The remake.
Is it Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's no good. It's not scary.
I don't think I saw that one.
I went to the theater and watched that with my daughter, who was loving horror movies at the time, and I was just trying to encourage her to see different kinds of movies and everything, but it's like PG-13.
Huh.
If you make a horror movie PG-13, I feel like you're just cutting
your balls
yourself.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But
You're basically just drinking White Claws.
it does. Yeah, right.
Exactly. It's exactly.
But
what
it
The
doesn't.
movie equivalent of White
Yeah.
Claws.
Yeah.
Is it a
Are you gonna-
PG-13
are you-
horror
are
movie?
you gonna drink
5%
that?
No.
alcohol. Get out of here.
Here, you can have it. I don't want this. Drink
It's
it.
gross.
It's not good. Sorry, Joker.
I'm muscling through. I am a professional.
I was gonna say I have a couple of movies that I've been thinking about that I've really liked in the past that classify as horror. The Strangers. So I watched this movie.
That is scary as shit. That's my personal
That's
nightmare.
a home invasion movie,
Yeah.
though. So that's
Yeah.
it's a different genre. Again,
Yeah.
it's a different subgenre of horror. It's a home invasion thing. That movie was freaky.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I remember the most, obviously, the masks that they're wearing when they're just peeking into your window. And
Masks
just
freak me out.
I lived in a house kind of out in the woods at the time when I saw that movie. So my glass doors were shut, my windows were closed. I was I can't go outside for the rest of the night. It freaked me out.
That's my personal fear.
Yeah.
Is a random act of violence. I live my life don't make eye contact. I won't bother you. You don't bother me. I'm gonna go about my business.
Yeah.
I don't do anything to incite violence against me. Random acts of violence is what keeps me up at night.
And
I can't watch true crime documentaries.
Yeah, and then the whole Purge franchise is kind of based around that as well. And that's super successful. But I hate watching those because of the random nature of the violence.
Is it because they're too realistic?
I think The Purge is a great idea.
I love The Purge.
You're a
I do like
crazy
The
person.
Purge because The Purge is just if everybody was lawless,
Yeah.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
I have a question I want to ask everybody. A roundtable question I want everybody to answer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is there one horror movie out there that you won't watch, or that you want to but haven't been able to pull the trigger on yet?
I'll tell you guys a movie theater experience.
I have one. I just want to know if you guys have one.
Okay.
That you're
Okay, what's yours? Go first.
mine is Midsummer.
With Nicholas.
Oh.
Oh no, I know. It's an A24 movie, right?
That's
It's
with
an art house movie.
It's like
Florence
the,
Pugh.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened
And
to
I don't
a review
know.
of it, and I'm good.
Yeah.
It's too long for me to invest. I know
Ooh.
I have
But
the
that-
over 2 hour rule.
Yeah, Midsummer is that movie on my list. It's like,
What about
I've
the-
heard some really fucked up stuff about this movie.
What about the witch with that freaking talking goat?
Oh, I've watched it a couple of times.
The Vitch?
The witch.
The Witch.
The witch.
The Vitch.
So-
I won't
thought it was
watch
good.
that. I
I thought
won't
it was
watch
good.
that.
The Witch?
Yeah.
Okay, what's yours? Is there a movie?
No, that's not. I'm sorry, that's not mine.
okay.
But
Go ahead, Gene.
You know what? It's probably Human Centipede because I think it's
Yeah.
probably just
don't watch it.
it's a gross out
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
and I'm just kind of like
It's not scary. It's just gross.
I feel like I
That's-
know. If I had watched it when it first came out, I don't know what my perspective would have been, but now I know what it's about.
Yeah, no.
So I'm like, why would I watch it now? I already know what it's about.
There's
and
like
it just
s-
looks
there's like
it just
4 of
looks
those.
gross.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
The whole premise of that movie reminds me of an SNL skit.
What? That's pretty dark.
Could you imagine the pitch for that?
Oh, yeah.
What
With like
if we-
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
I'll tell you guys a story about a horror movie that I walked out of because I went to the theater. I thought it was going to be an alien movie.
Mhm.
It was called Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind or something like that, or The Fourth Kind or whatever.
Oh, the fourth kind?
Yes.
Yes, with Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. Is that who that was?
I think so,
I
yeah.
think so. Anyway, she's a psychiatrist that
Oh,
lives
it's
in Alaska.
terrible.
It's a bad movie,
Oh, okay.
but it crossed a line for me where it was like, this is a little too real right now. I walked out. She's a psychologist in Alaska, and Alaska is known to have a very deep, dark depression during the winter months because of the sunlight and all this stuff. People keep going to her.
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, people keep going to her to like deal with their mental problems or whatever. She's a psychologist, and she starts investigating this family.
Isn't it called The Fifth Kind?
No, it's the fourth kind.
This is the fourth kind because the third kind is the Steven Spielberg thing.
Yeah.
And then this is the fourth kind. It's like a play on the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought going in, it was going to be like a straight up like alien invasion type thing. I'm like, I'm down for that. But then it quickly turned into like a really real world like demon possession thing where they were speaking like
because it was based on a true story.
Yeah, they were speaking like literally like ancient Sumerian languages, and I was like, oh no, and they were like doing, "And the God will destroy. I am Legion." I'm like, okay, I've read the Bible too many times to think that that's
better.
fake.
It was a pretty
I
shitty
was
movie.
like, and then there's the thing with the owl. There's something to do with owls in that, which is a very real world pagan like god demon thing. And I'm like, I'm gonna wash my. I'm
If
out.
memory serves, and that movie came out a while ago.
It's old. It's old.
If memory serves, it turns out she had also been abducted and was working through her own trauma.
Sure.
How do you feel about Vigo and Ghostbusters?
He's
too?
Vigo.
His Vigo. I mean,
That's a comedy.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, I'm not the.
It's also not funny.
I want Kate to
Dude, the
answer.
second one sucks.
Yeah, it's real bad.
I want Kate to answer my question. Is there a movie you just won't go watch in this genre?
So I'm kind of with Jude on the human centipede thing. Like I've specifically avoided that. There's actually a lot of movies that we've watched for the podcast that like I was like, I don't want to watch those.
Yeah, you're a big boat, bro.
But
We're on the hunt. We've always been wanting to and couldn't watch Thanksgiving 3.
But there are 3 movies that I've seen in the horror genre that I regret having sat through.
Oh, please don't talk about the one we agreed not to talk about.
Yeah, it's the one that shall not be named.
Yes.
Okay.
Then
The Easter one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's enough.
And then there's the trauma poultry guys.
Oh god, that was awful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah, but
I feel like all of the movies we watched that week were regrettable.
Yeah.
These are all movies when Alex is gone.
Yeah.
This is what happens. This
We
is what happens to the podcast when I leave, guys.
Go bananas.
Yeah, but those 2 movies were both horror and they were both so bad that like I was like I wish I hadn't seen them. But the big one that sticks with me that I really regret watching, and this is kind of goes to like Vader's thing with Midsommar, is the director of that, his movie before that, it's called Hereditary. And I hated that movie. It was like when I watched it, I was like, I regret every second.
It's the one where the mom goes nuts.
Midsommar is a movie I'm going to just make myself watch at some point. I'm not going to be like the Exorcist thing and wait till I'm 95 years old before I watch this stupid movie. I heard that there's like a full on like blood eagle scene.
Oh really?
You know, like the
there
Viking
is.
blood eagle, and I'm like, if it's that graphic, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle it.
Dude,
But you could watch that in a Vikings show.
I would watch.
ugh,
I would watch a Viking horror movie. Is there a Viking horror movie?
yeah.
What's that? What's that
Yes.
Norwegian film we
Yeah,
talked
we
about?
just watched
Headhunter.
Headhunter, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
Is that a horror movie?
Yeah, it's a horror movie. It's a short film though. It's only like
Okay.
what 40 minutes long or something.
62 minutes.
62 minutes.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a
movie.
really good movie.
that's a good.
It's
movie.
good. It's good. I'm trying to think. I do have a thing for cave movies apparently because I just remembered another one. It's called The Cave.
It's your cave fetish.
I guess that's my thing. That was a really cool movie, and I also like this. It was a Netflix movie that came out a couple of years ago. It was called The Ritual, and this movie, like, it didn't start off as like your average horror movie. It was more of like a drama between friends, and they go camping, and then like things go south. But they find this weird clan in the middle of the woods that are all like they're like worshiping like antler beasts and things. And what I loved about this movie,
Cool.
yes, yeah, something weird like that. But what I really liked about this movie is how creative the monster was. Like it was a weird monster that looked like a moose, but it had the face of an upside down human body.
Oh, gross.
And the arms would like grab people and like pull them in, and it had like antlers and spines, and it was super creative and weird. And I was like, that's an interesting like monster to have in your movie. It was really cool.
Yeah, one of the things that really turns me off of a lot of horror movies is the gore factor. Like I'm not a big gore fan unless it's like super cheesy. You know, like Evil Dead 2 is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like it's a gory movie, but it's almost humorous because it's so over the top. But when like you have like realistic gore, like the gore porn and stuff like that, like I'm not big into it. But one of the interesting aspects of horror is now that like long form TV shows have kind of like taken the mantle as like the scariest stuff. Like for instance, The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah. Blair Manor.
Yeah. And like we're actually, Jude and I are watching the show now called From on
Oh my
MGM
God,
Plus.
it's so good.
And that's basically like a horror story, but with like a lot of like mystery elements to
yeah.
it. And it's made by the same people who did Lost, except Damon Lindelof is not involved.
But
Yeah.
hang on, guys.
Yeah, it's the smart people who did Lost.
Yeah.
But like it's about these people who are trapped in this small town, and at night these monsters come out, and they
And
look
there's
like humans.
so much mystery surrounding the monsters too.
Yeah, and the monsters look like humans, but they always have this creepy smile. And so
Like this. I practiced it on Kadish yesterday.
You just freak him out all day long. You just walk around
I was
the
like,
kitchen.
I want to smile like that. How is this?
It's a little
And
unsettling.
he was like, yeah, it's creepy. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, good, thanks.
yeah, but this show is it's not like super scary, but there's this feeling of dread and anxiety throughout it that while you're watching, you're like, ooh, like what's going on? And that's what I really liked about the Mike Flanagan stuff, like, Midnight Mass and Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, is that there are mysteries involved, but there's this like constant feeling of dread and stuff like that throughout the show until the very end, where there's actually like kind of like an uplifting element to it. But those shows, like over the course of like 8 to 10 episodes, do such a good job of like getting you into the environment and the characters.
They take you on a ride for
Yeah.
sure. I was just going to mention Midnight Mass recently has been one of my favorite like horror genre TV shows that I watched. I loved the twist that they had on like the Catholic religion and that whole, and it takes you on a journey. It's a slow burn. There's a lot of monologues and a lot of like it feels like a theater play almost on screen. But the payoff is well worth it. It was so cool.
And Jude and I used to watch American Horror Story, and we'd always have fun. Like the seasons vary in terms of quality, but we'd always have fun with those shows.
Let's wrap this podcast up with a question. A horror movie that's coming out soon that you're looking forward to watching. I'll start off. We saw the trailer for this during our Renfield thing that we went to the movies and watched. Was the last voyage of what was the name of the ship?
Demeter?
The Demeter. Yeah, that
looks good.
That
looks
looks
good.
hella good. I can't wait to
But
see
it's
that
a
movie.
vampire movie.
Yeah, it's a vampire movie. They're stuck on a ship. It's basically Nosferatu, but like only the time period where he's on the boat.
Well, yeah, it's basically the story of Dracula coming to America. But like in the book, the ship just shows up and everyone's already dead because Dracula feasted on them. And, it's kind of like a ghost ship type thing. But this movie actually shows you what happened during that journey.
The trailer looks amazing. And I hope it's successful because I would love for them to be like, oh, this hit. Like, let's keep going and see like, okay, this is what happens after he lands. That trailer looked amazing. How about V? Do you have a horror movie that you are looking forward to?
I do want to go see that one. I'm very interested in going out and seeing the Pope's Exorcist.
Okay, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
That scene where like the Mary comes out of the water and she's in like her white robes. That's freaking me out. I'm not gonna watch that movie, dude. That's against some rules for me.
It's my religion.
I'm not doing that. Right on.
Yeah, I don't know I don't even know what else is coming out, but both of those movies I want to check out.
Okay, cool. Jude, how about you?
I'm looking through a list right now. I was like, oh, what all's coming out this year? And I've already seen a couple of these. I'm looking forward to the Pope's Exorcist, and I'm looking through to see if like there's anything
I think it's out now.
Pope's Exorcist should be out already. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go tonight if you want.
Shout out to Critical Drinker for interviewing.
Apparently there's a new Strangers coming out.
Really?
It's a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a new Deliverance. Meh.
Wait.
All right. Oh, they're redoing Salem's Lot.
I don't know what that is.
Vampires.
Oh.
All right. Well,
The Stephen King.
yeah, I'm looking forward to both of the movies that you guys talked about.
Okay.
Honestly, if there's a horror movie coming out, I immediately want to watch the trailer. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks good. Or sometimes I'm like, that looks terrible, but I still want to watch it.
Yeah. Right on. Cool. Kadish, how about you?
I don't really look forward to horror movies. They're never on the top of my like, must see list. I do think that The Last Voyage of the Demeter, like when I saw the trailer, I was blown away by that trailer. I was like, yeah, I'd go see that. But I think like on my list of like must see things was Evil Dead Rise, and we already saw that, and I was just like, like whatever. But I know that come October, we're probably going to be getting a lot of like crazy horror movies. But again, I'd prefer to watch horror movies at home as opposed to like going to the theater to watch them. But that's just me.
That's fair.
This is Midsummer.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it here on my iPad here right now, right? And you guys are not going to believe this, or you might already know this, but we're big C fans.
Right. Yeah.
So guess who is in Midsummer?
Who?
Charlotte.
Archie's in that movie?
Archie Madekle
No.
is in Midsommar. Now I have to watch
Ah,
it.
shit.
God damn it. Shout out to Archie. He played Kofun from C, seasons 1, 2, and 3. And he's also got a new movie coming out, Gran Turismo, that actually looks pretty good. It's a racing movie. I'm down to watch that.
That's
A
son
video
of a
game
bitch.
adaptation.
Yeah, it's a video game movie, technically. So it's in our genre.
Maybe
We could haunt him.
Can you imagine if Kofun gets blood eagled? That would be dope. Maybe that'd be great.
You're so mean.
I know, dude. It's like, you son of a bitch.
All right. Well, we've talked long enough about horror. I guess we and you kind of changed our minds, huh? We do like horror movies. We're just very particular.
I don't like dumb horror movies.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's interesting.
Hooray.
Zombie movies and vampire movies are cool.
Awesome. Love those.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Campy shit, not so much.
With a pair of slacks killing people? No.
No.
I'm not watching that.
Haunted Genes.
Oh, man. All right, guys. That's it for the show. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Comment below what your favorite horror movie is. And if you can define what a horror movie is in the comments. Let us know.
I'm very curious what they say.
I'd love to see a 7-paragraph essay in my YouTube comments
it's coming.
about that I'm not going to read.
First of all,
It's coming.
By the way, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you're brand new here, welcome. Make sure to like and subscribe and to join us for our conversations about movies going forward. Matt V, say goodbye to the people.
See you
And
later.
what do
See you
guys
later, people.
Tell people what you're doing on Saturday.
Saturdays, I don't know when this is going to come out, but Saturdays we get together every Saturday morning on our YouTube channel, and we just talk about ridiculous pop culture things, and we generally have a guest host or two that comes on and join us, whether it's another YouTuber or some industry person or just one of our friends. Generally 4 or 5 of us on there, and we have a great time.
Right on. Cool. Jude, say goodbye to the people.
bye, people.
Excellent. Kadish,
That's what I did. Was literally what you told me to do.
So yeah, people.
you're very good at following directions. Go ahead, Kadish.
No, go make us a sandwich.
Made your cocktail.
I will say that my co-host fought me on this topic, but I thought that we had a really good conversation. It was a lot of fun to talk about. And Jude, do you have any horror movies that you would recommend the audience? check
Oh
out?
my goodness. I thought we were wrapping up. We're going to be here a while. I think that there are the classics that I love that are, I have like villains that are like the movies that I recommend. So like Freddy Krueger, he is a great villain. And he's campy, and these are the things that I love. I grew up on the USA Up All Night movies that were movies I shouldn't have been watching at the age that I watched them. And this is just like kind of the genre that I grew up on. Like I watched Poltergeist when I was probably the age of Carol Ann in Poltergeist. And I have a great love for horror movies, and the Evil Dead movies, the original with Bruce Campbell, those are fantastic. The first 4 Nightmare on Elm Street movies, they're fantastic. And if you like campy horror, you'll like these.
Right on. Cool. When we leave, can we have Matt Vader's voice do the deep demon thing and have him say goodbye to everybody? Go ahead, buddy. Get ready for it. Get ready for
What
it.
am I going to say?
You're going to do the demon voice. I don't know. Say whatever you want.
Have a fantastic day.
Wait, let me do it.
Stay salty, everybody.
Jude wants to do
I want to do it.
Can you do that to her mic?
I can, but I have to like change things.
things.
Oh, here. Jude, come over here. Do it to her.
Hey.
Move over. Stay salty, or I'll swallow your soul. That was good.
You make a good demon.
Thanks. Aw.
That was a good talk. That was one of the best talks we've had in a while.
The demon voice.
Move over. That's the Salty
Satan's
Nerd
fighting with
podcast.
his brother.
That's what we do.
Shut up. You shut up.
I'm telling Mom.
I'm telling Mom.
Dad, Satan's bothering me.
Beelzebub's quits poking me.
You're a dick, Vader.
Fucking hate you. Always taking my things.
Shut up. Oh God, that was hilarious. Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.